Today we're going to look at changing quadratic in standard form to factored form, and we'll talk about what information you can get from each form. So start with the warm-up. Find the coordinates of the vertex of the following function. So there's a few ways that you could find that. If you had your graphing calculator, you could type it in and find the vertex. So let's try it that way first, and then we'll go over the method algebraically. So if we go to add a graph and type in negative x squared plus 4x plus 5, and graph that. You can adjust this right here. Here's the vertex. The negative means it's reflected over here, or negative. Slope, we call it. And then the vertex would be this point right here. To use your calculator to calculate it, we could analyze the graph, and we would analyze this would be the maximum, if it's the highest point. Alright, so there's the vertex at 2, 9. So if we wanted to do that without a graphing calculator, we know that the vertex can be found by doing negative b over 2a. So here, a is the coefficient of x squared, so negative 1. B is the coefficient of x, and c is the number by itself. So if we plug in negative b over 2a would be negative 4 over 2 times negative 1. Negative 4 divided by negative 2 is 2. So again, this is our x coordinate, 2. To get the y coordinate, we have to plug in a 2 for x here. So we have negative 2 squared plus 4 times 2 plus 5. So here we would get negative 4 plus 8 plus 5. 13 minus 4 is 9. So there's that 2, 9. So again, we do negative b over 2a. We get x. And then to get y, or f of x, we plug in a 2 for every x, and we calculate what that equals, and we get the y value. Notes: when a quadratic is in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c, what information can you get from it and how? Well, we know the shape of this. The x squared means it's a parabola. If this number in front of the x squared is negative, so negative a, will mean that it's upside down. And if we have a positive a, it would be right set up. We can find the vertex by doing x equals negative b over 2a. And then you plug that in and you could solve for y. So get y by plugging in. We can figure out the number of zeros by looking at the discriminant. And the discriminant is that b squared minus 4ac. And we know that if it's positive, we have 2 answers. If it's negative, we have 0 real solutions. Here, if it's positive, 2 real solutions. And if it's 0, we have 1 real solution. And the zeros, the roots, or the x-intercepts, you could graph those. So you could graph to find. Or you could use quadratic formula. Okay, so here's a bunch of information that you can get from the standard form of a quadratic. But what about if it's in factored form? So when a quadratic is in factored form, such as f of x equals x minus 6x plus 3, what information can you get from it and how? Well, you can easily find the zeros or the roots. So if I set this equal to 0, what makes this 0? X minus 6 times x plus 3, what makes this 0? So you can easily find the zeros, which are also called roots, and those are also called the x-intercepts. Okay, so to find that in factored form, you set each one equal to 0 and solve. So x minus 6 equals 0, add 6 to each side, so x equals 6. There will be a root, and then a solution, and x plus 3 equals 0. Subtract 3 from each side. X equals negative 3 will also be a solution to your graph. So today we're going to look at how do you change something from standard form to factored form and from factored to standard. So we spent some time a few weeks ago actually factoring this. So to factor, you can use a box and circle, greatest common factor, or difference of squares. So this will be a box and circle right here. So I know that there's three terms here, 2x squared, negative 5x, negative 12. And we want to know what multiplies, and my negative 12 doesn't look very nice, so let's redo that. So negative 12. What multiplies to the first and the last box? So 2x squared times negative 12 is negative 24x squared. So what multiplies to negative 24x squared that adds to negative 5x? This is negative. Okay, so factors of negative 24, 8 and 3. And if we make the 8 negative, it will add to a negative 5x. So this will be a negative 8x, 3x. What multiplies to 2x squared, 2x and x? We have to put the 2x on the side here to get the negative 8. X times 3 is 3x. 2x minus 4 is negative 8x. And so we have a 0. We want to find the zeros equal 2x plus 3 and x minus 4. Well, already I know that this is 4 will make this 0. But for this one, what makes 2x plus 3 equal 0? We can subtract 3 from each side. We get negative 3 equals 2x, divide by 2. So our other 0 is at negative 1.5, or negative 3 halves. So we have two zeros. You can find them by setting each factor equal to 0 and solve. Okay, let's do another one, factor and find the zeros. So again, we can use our box and circle. We have x squared, x, negative 56. We want to know what multiplies to the first and the last box, negative 56x squared. That adds to x, and that would be 7x and 8x, but I have to, nope, that wouldn't work because this is negative. So let's try again. All right, what else multiplies to negative 56? Okay, so let's try negative divided by, well, let's change, I want to make this one work, so I'm just going to change this. Let's change this to, oh, this will work. Yeah, this will work. I'm sorry. I was right. So we have 7x. It has to be the negative 7x. And we'll have the 8x. Yeah, this will work. Okay, so they multiply to negative 56. They add to 1x. Okay. And then we get the outside. We have x plus 8. We have x minus 7. So we want to know what makes this equal 0. So I'm going to change my y to a 0 times x plus 8 times x minus 7. Let's use zero product property. So x will be negative 8 if we subtract 8 from each side. Or x will be 7 if we add 7 to each side. So here are your two answers. Okay, so changing it from standard form to factored form, box and circle. Can we go the other way? Can we change it from factored form to standard form? So right here, how many roots, zeros, or x-intercepts does this have? It has 2 of them. You can tell by looking at the two factors. So 2. What are the zeros? So we look at the opposite. One is at 3, but the other one we have to set equal to 0 and solve. So subtract 7 from each side. 2x equals negative 7. Divide by 2. So x equals negative 3.5. So there are two zeros, and here they are. One at 3 and one at negative 3.5. Change it to standard form is when you FOIL or use a box. And I like to use the box. So we have 2x plus 7, x minus 3. And we're going to have 2x squared, 7x, negative 6x, negative 21. So here is standard form. So again, you multiply that out to get standard form. Okay, will this parabola be U-shaped up or U-shaped down? Okay, let's look at the standard form here. Okay, look at the A value, it's positive. So it's going to be U-shaped up. And then to find the vertex, it's negative b over 2a. So I'm going to rewrite this. Y equals 2x squared plus x minus 21. All right, so let's do x equals negative b over 2a. Okay, so b is 1, so negative 1 over 2 times 2. So x equals negative 1/4. Let's plug that in and solve. So y equals 2 times negative 1/4 squared plus negative 1/4 minus 21. All right, negative 1/4 squared. Whoops. All right, so if we have negative, actually I'm just going to type it in. I can just type it in and use parentheses. So it's 2 times negative 1/4 squared plus negative 1/4 and then we have, excuse me, minus 21, minus 21. Okay, so there it is, negative 161/8. Okay, it's about negative 20.125. All right, so the vertex right here, I wonder if I can move this up, yep. The vertex would be at negative 1/4, and then, what was it, 20 point something? Negative 20.125. And then again, you can check that by typing it into your calculator and finding the vertex as well. Okay, let's try another one. One more. So how many roots does this have? This one has 2 again, you can tell by the 2 factors. What are the roots? So negative x plus 8 equals 0. Subtract 8 from each side. Negative x equals negative 8, so x equals 8. There's 1, 0. And the other one's x plus 2 equals 0, so x is negative 2. So 2 zeros, set them both equal to 0 and solve. Change it to standard form, multiply this out. So we have negative x plus 8 times x plus 2. You have negative x squared, you have 8x, negative 2x, and 16. So negative x squared plus 6x plus 16. It's going to be u-shaped down because of the negative. And then to find the vertex, it's negative b over 2a again. So let's do that. So again, in standard form, it was negative x squared plus 6x plus 16. All right, so x equals negative b over 2a. B is 6. A is negative 1. So negative 6 over negative 2 is 3. So there's your x value. Plug in 3 here and plug it in here. So you have negative 3 squared plus 6 times 3 plus 16. And we're going to solve. So this would be negative 9 plus 18 plus 16. Let's type that in. 9 plus 18 plus 16. 25. So 325 is the vertex. So in summary, factored form can give you the zeros of the function. Standard form will give you the shape of the graph, if it's u-shaped up or u-shaped down. You can also figure out the vertex by doing negative b over 2a. So you'll be practicing problems like this, and you'll be changing to factored and standard form. And we'll go over any questions tomorrow.